Hi, babe. I was just saying I got my candle ready. I'm about to initiate the space. I was just beginning the process by saying this is a long-awaited experience and hadn't even said hello, what we're doing. So just getting started while the thunder rolls in.
Yeah, and I have like the funniest setup. Two pillows stacked and like a blanket that I'm resting my phone on.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Ocean
I,
tea.
I love.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, if you got my frequencies too in the background, we got some selenite, 417 hertz on the TV. So I wanted to initiate this by saying welcome to the Abracadabra podcast. I'm so excited to welcome Miss Sofia Soul De'Roma today. She is our guest. And we are going to be talking about some raw, real information. So this is as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't space. Our pillars to remind you about what Abracadabra is about: spirituality, survivorship, and unfiltered storytelling. So again, the vulnerability, comfortability, we're looking to be raw and real with you guys. So this conversation may strike some as, out of the blue, but it's going to align with who it's going to align with. And if this finds you, it's meant to find you. So, Miss Sofia, I want to kickstart this by asking you to introduce yourself. If you'd like to give an introduction.
Hello, I am Sophia. I also go by the Mystic Maiden, Alchemist of Awakening, and the Tantrika Sophia. And I consider myself to be a multidimensional channel and multidisciplinary creative. I like to dabble in all of the arts and different realms of spirituality. What else would I want to tell people?
I say, give us all the things if you're willing to. I know you do so much, which is why I'm so blessed to. We've talked about this before, but the multidimensionality piece and how people are so longing to be aligned with, equal energy, that mutual reciprocity and creativity, but even being able to see that you don't have to pick one thing. Like being able to embody multiple things that you're passionate about is really what I feel like skyrockets a lot of people's lives in a very expansive way. So
Yeah,
you're doing a lot of things recently. If you want to talk about like the last 30, 60 days, like accomplishment wise on even like maybe business or in the community, I know you've been doing, not to repeat myself, I know you've been doing a lot.
yeah. Within the past month or two especially, I've started hosting a lot more group spaces locally in St. Louis. These have been specifically for like new full moons aligned with like intentional themes. And then I also hosted a summer solstice party with my best friend Giselle, who is a fellow witch magic maker.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something I'm very passionate about. I'm lunar dominant Cancer moon and stellium myself, so I really enjoy working with the energy of the moon and honoring her in that way. On my business page, Mystic Maiden Magic, every new and full moon I share a mood board that I curate over the course of weeks, usually from a new moon moving into a full moon. And I write out channeled guidance for all the transits occurring. I write writing prompts, which I like to call either like healing prompts or alchemical prompts, divination spreads, and sometimes like little ritual toolbox ideas. I like to kind of milk as many free resources as I can to provide community and realize, because one thing about me is I struggled a lot financially growing up, and I started entering my spiritual journey and I felt very alone and lost, and I didn't have many spiritual teachers around me to talk to except for like free videos on like YouTube. But whenever it came to like actually being trained or like being facilitated by someone, that was always way too expensive for me. So like I just any free resource I could. I spent a lot of time reading different articles and books to obtain the knowledge I have now.
Yeah.
And so passionate about providing more free resources to people who are also on their journey and might not have the resources to go to people and like get trained and stuff like I did.
Mm. I love that. I love that you have such a powerful introduction because, as we were just talking about like 48 hours ago, how much of an activator you are. And I feel like just doing this process here today, for example, this is the most vulnerable I've ever been, and gotten to be. I'm very, very excited. But also how just since we saw each other, couldn't have anticipated the things in the last 24 hours. So it's wild to be reflecting on the roller coaster that we call life. And also, like you said, the community resources are so important right now, not only with everything that's going on in the world. I think one of the things that I did want to just really honor and respect right now is the fact that we've shared on an astrological level. I don't know many astrologers in the St. Louis area. Sophia is the only woman my age that I know is as in tune with astrology. And she brings such a eclectic, intuitive, and like she said, extremely intentional. Like if you're looking for something to take you next level, but also deepen personal practices, I love, love, love her rituals and her mood boards. They're so essential, I feel like, in the way that you express yourself to not only your community, but how you've been showing up for yourself personally. Like, I know you are so community oriented, but I'm so proud of the personal things that you've been doing too, because I was reflecting on before I hopped on here, like how long we've known each other. So, like a year and a half, I think. So, just in that amount of time, what we've been able to create. You okay? Okay, you need to hop back on. Okay, your sound was coming in and coming out. I was reading your lips. Will you repeat
Yeah,
yourself?
my time limit went on. I pressed ignore limit for today because I didn't realize it was on,
You're
but it
totally
should be.
fine. You're totally fine. Sorry, I was like, wait a second. If you need to hop back on, by all means, I'll keep it rolling. Um, that's another reason why I love doing this is because it's such an intuitive space and being able to channel. On an astrological level, like you said, the new and full moons we just exited, or we're exiting a new moon portal. You hosted a new moon circle. I'm so freaking proud of you because where we were at a year ago, I had essentially no idea what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to hold space, and I was so honored that you were willing to be a part of that because I think that we can both heavily relate to maybe doing community things and being like, okay, we want to do this. We're going to like call in support. And it's a feeling of like, for me personally, I know I've had doubts come through where I'm like, I don't think anybody would want to do this. I don't know if anybody's gonna come support. And I see that reflected a lot in the creative community, especially here in St. Louis. It's like our groups are so important, our organizations are so important, what we are doing together is so important. I feel like it's as equally as important as what we're doing for ourselves. So I just love that the way that you express yourself in your community is like as deeply rooted in your internal landscape. I think that's so beautiful.
I
So if,
appreciate that. I
yeah,
see all of these things within you too. You've been one of the greatest mirrors for me within this past year or so of my life, my journey, my path, and I'm just so grateful that we met and have been able to collaborate and foster this synergy in between us.
thank you so much. I was gonna say, I track back our friendship to me being like, I want to be her friend. When you were like, hey, I just want to acknowledge that we have actually all 12 zodiac signs within each of us. So if you feel drawn to it, like you went into elaborating that, and I was just like, I know I'm here. And I genuinely, like, it's one of those moments where I feel like when you know that you're going to begin a friendship with somebody, you remember that introduction. And that night, too, I was just like, oh, somebody had referenced your name to me, already told me that they were going to introduce me to you. So it was just very beautiful and I feel like very organic. Um, Not having to question the sisterhood in my life is something that I'm honing in more on. I genuinely desire authentic connections and friendships, and even when it comes to in a professional sense, like this is a very personal thing, but I feel like it's also a professional thing because what we're talking about is not only what we are doing for ourselves, it's what we do in life. Like it's the way that we live, it's the way that we breathe. So um yeah, circling back to why we're even doing this, being a spiritual person, being a survivor, and wanting to give people truth, wanting to allow people to know that they don't have to feel alone, that they're not alone. And for a lot of the things that people may be going through right now, personal, professional, platonic, romantic, it's just something that I think a lot of people need right now is community support. And I'm super guilty of feeling guilty for asking for community support. So I wanted to roll into asking you, behind the labels, the titles, your roles that you hold, who do you feel like you are?
I am a very
It,
eclectic, like you said before. I love that you use that for myself too. I like to describe myself as a rainbow
mm,
soul.
mm,
I think part of that is because I've chosen to intentionally tune into all those colors of myself, all those different shades and tones. But I see myself as like I'm using like a lot of like poetic descriptive terms because on an energy level, it just feels like almost like sparkly or like
oh yeah. I'm like smiling in agreement because everything you're saying is from a third perspective, like absolute rainbow soul, total embodiment of the what we were talking about color therapy the other day, but that frequency spectrum, you don't have to again choose one thing. When you walk into someone's life, for example, you walking into my life and you are literally energetically just as physically colorful, it activates people. It opens people up in a way that, dare I say, I don't like this word. I was just talking about it with you. Like triggering people is not something I intentionally want to do without consent. That's why it's so important for me to like open the container of the space by prefacing what we are gonna hone in on, if there are things that are touchy for people, that's why it's to take what resonates and leave what doesn't space, because the shoe does not fit for everybody, but I do think that there are bits and pieces and nuggets of gold, no pun on alchemy, that people can take with them. And I love the way that you express yourself. Even in your, like, we were just at doing a fashion photo shoot together Wednesday. I'm like, for real, you've got a passion for fashion. You literally can create what you wear, which I think is so otherworldly and cool. Like when you walked in to the art show wearing what you created, I was just like, she gets it. She gets it on a whole nother level. And I love that without, for example, you having to essentially explain yourself, being able to be in friendship and just be in awe of how creative you are, rather than if you had met me when I was your age for just an, we talked about this the other day too, like 2021, I was so in an envious, jealous
me.
mindset
I've had
and energy.
much of that with my friendships with
Mm-hmm.
um and it's really interesting. I was just reflecting on this when I was describing like my rainbow soul and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
how I have felt to my core since I was a little girl, and I feel that now the Sophia, the woman you are talking to today, is really like purely such a form of my inner child, and it took so long to get back to her. But like that in between zone, like sort of middle school, high school, I would have not described myself in that way. At that time, it was pure darkness, all black, space, you know? And I've really moved through the shadows and the underworld a lot too, and I found a lot of love for that space, and through that I was able to allow more of my light and colors to emerge and to fully see and embrace all of it, the full spectrum of me, which is like one of my like my biggest beliefs or what I like to guide people through.
Can you, I know this is not something I asked you, so if you want to take a second to reflect on this, but I really feel called to ask you, since you just brought up shadow work, can you define what it means for you to go through a dark night of the soul? Like what that experience, if you want to lay it in like a layman or general sense and then maybe go deeper. I know that you give me however you feel. You don't have to curate a certain way.
So I'll share it on personal level and also how I've seen it reflected in others, because whenever we talk about dark night of the soul
Mm-hmm.
and other people's experiences, I notice that there is a lot of similar patterns in how these times are initiated in our lives and sort of like
Mm-hmm.
the portals we move through once we enter that dark night of the soul. So
Yes.
for me, that looked like coming out of elementary school. I had like a strong sense of self and ego. I knew what I wanted and where I wanted to go. And then I think sometimes it's a mix of puberty for some people. Sometimes it's a midlife crisis. These dark nights of the soul are going to be different from person to person depending on timelines and everything. But for me, I already endured so much trauma in my younger years. I think in elementary school, I just tried to kind of repress or turn a blind eye to. So then once I hit middle school, all that I had repressed came right up to the surface. And there was that sort of like dark night of the soul. It's like you are kind of taken to the gates of hell or into the underworld, and it's like you gotta stick with it. Like there's not like crawling yourself out. It kind of feels like an impossible job. It's almost like
Yeah.
spirit, okay, we're going to force you into this mode to face your shadows and your trauma and everything. And the beginning of that journey for me, I still was having a hard time embracing that side of me. I really instead spiraled into, I think that's a common experience for people. It manifested for me in a lot of like mental health terms or issues like depression, anxiety, OCD, different things. And I feel like a lot of the times whenever people are relaying these mental health they're going through, some of the times it can be just symptoms of dark night of the soul and what comes with doing the shadow work. So I was like fully in that, and during that time I was at home a lot in complete solitude. I find that dark night of the soul will call you into solitude. You kind of just gotta be with yourself, even though we absolutely deserve to have people around us and to have community care. I think I would have benefited a lot during that time if I had that, but I did not really have any good friends or family or anything to rely on, so it was just me and my and I would spend hours, days, weeks, literally just like in my bed, either crying or smoking, eating, or watching podcasts. But it was just a lot of time with myself where I took in a lot of different information and knowledge about what I was going through because I was so scared and confused, and I wanted to look to a higher source or to teachers to find the answers. And that was a long journey for me, I would say. I kind of stuck in and out because it kind of goes through waves. You might be like called back into it different periods of your life. But I was in that for like all of middle school, high school. And for me, it got so scary and extreme at some points that I turned to like drug usage. So I was doing like a lot of hard drugs by the time I was in high school, like coke and DMT and ecstasy, and I was abusing stuff like Adderall, and I was trying to take different prescription pills to help my mental health issues, but all of that was me running away and trying not to address what was coming up for me, which I almost knew deep down on intuitive level was like where the greatest work would take place, like where the greatest
Mm.
was waiting to emerge. And there was so much pain in me ignoring that. So I think one of the most like catalyst moments on that path for me was, I think I was somewhere ages 15 to 17. I was literally like begging my family to get prescribed on different drugs so that I could just like numb myself out. And we kept setting up doctor's appointments for me to go get like tested, prescribed, and everything. And 3 different times that we tried to go to these appointments, I got into car crashes with my mom. And it was like spirit screaming at me, this is not meant for you. This is going to fuck you up. Like, we have to be different. We have to choose a different path. And so that completely led me to the holistic healing journey, which became a really big part of my spiritual path. And looking at the totality of me, my mind, body, and spirit, trying to get to the root of issues instead of just it's on the surface level pain. Yeah, and even with describing all this, obviously, whenever we talk about dark night of the soul or initiations, there's going to be a lot of juicy details left out because it is such a complex process, especially if you're dealing with complex traumas that you're from. Yeah, that's a big part of my story and where I'm at right now and where I came from.
I am so grateful for how honest you are with your journey. Like, if more people gave it to collectives straight, I think we would have so much more clarity in collective communication, just about these are societal, these are generational, this is systemic. There are things that are very they're like woven into our DNA, no pun intended, when I'm speaking generationally. I can heavily relate to where you're coming from or where you have come from.
You just made a really good point that I kind of wanted to touch on too. But a lot of what I was moving through during that time was very personal. I was very naive to like collective issues going on. I was in the role of being my own activist. But once I got further enough on my journey and enough feeling myself, I was really able to step back and see the bigger picture and start to acknowledge all the collective grief and suffering and how that woven with my own. Once I started to learn all of these systematic issues and how they damage us and harm us in our day-to-day, it really brought me clarity on like, okay, a lot of the stuff I wasn't moving through wasn't just a me thing. It's like stuff that a lot of people, almost all of us, are going through, especially in America and in different countries where we're dealing with like capitalism, patriarchy, all these different things that seek to control us, to make us conform, to abuse us. I could go on and on because I'm very passionate about these topics.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we are here today. We are here to talk about who you are, where you've come from, where you are today, what you're passionate about. So literally nothing is off the table, which is why I get this feeling of like, and I don't want to say this, we just talked about this Wednesday, how we do not want anything to be performative. And I do not feel at all that that's the intention today. That's not the energy that's present. But I get this feeling because I've performed in front of audiences very few times in my life, but it's like that butterfly feeling before you walk out on stage. Like even in this setting of like knowing this is such an initiation, like you were just talking about, the dark nights of soul being
with you is.
Girl, every time we get together, it's like, oh my God, it's so nice to catch up. It's been, and we get to share so much. And then I'm like, we say like, are we ready? And I was telling myself Wednesday, I know things can happen overnight. I know certain things can happen overnight. I wasn't even putting certain energy towards that, right? Like not even anything specific. I'm stunned I guess, shocked, but in the best way. I'm finding so much peace in asking myself, because I allowed myself to have a full meltdown yesterday evening.
I did too.
Full meltdown over, like, literally holding little me. She was convinced she was not gonna have friends when she grew up, whatever that meant. And I did. I had people that I played with on the playground. I think, people that, I went to maybe random sleepovers, but I genuinely felt like a child. Um, like, as a child, I would have inner dialogue. I do all the time, but I had inner dialogues with myself about, like, you're on the outside. You feel like you're on the outside, but you are on the outside, and it felt so purposeful, but I was so doubtful of why. And that's why I tell the women that I have in my life today that I've waited 20 plus years for a certain friendship, because that's no joke. Like, I almost feel like certain situations, specifically middle school, I'm so grateful you brought that up, is like being ostracized, having drama or gossip happen, just for example, in a personal way, like drama and gossip for me, and not being able to control what is being said about me, not being able to control people's perceptions of me from a very early age, that taught me that, like, Alyssa, you can be whoever you want to be, like, and I would still run from that. Like, that made me so scared. The fact that that was being presented to me even then, you have to be careful what you say. And not just careful what you say, intentional. Careful made me scared. Careful made me hermit and hide, and I love being a hermit. I Yes, like with my own energy, instead of being like, we're gonna take up some space. We're gonna take up as much space as we please. And that feeling too of, as a child, in academics, in friendship, in even in certain romantic relationships, it was like, Alyssa, too much, too much.
Yeah.
And I would literally, it was that feeling of, like, I know that you've played with, you know what I'm talking about, instrument wise.
Yeah. Accordion?
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm literally getting the visual, but like that constriction. It's that feeling of, I just want to take a really deep, deep breath, like feel into my entire body. I think I've been scared to breathe as deep as I've wanted my entire life. So I'm doing that now as an adult, and finding out the deeper I breathe, the more I can expand my energy, the more I'm connected to my body. I know I'm getting off on an entirely different
I
tangent.
love everything you just said so much. Like, so much of why I always think about people's perceptions of me online too. So much of why I am so willing and courageous and confident to share all of me online now, all my multifacetedness, my various gifts and stuff, is because being like bullied and everything growing up, being alienated, once again, like you were saying, all I had was myself at that point, and I was like, if we're at this point, if I feel like people dislike me or don't like what I'm doing, then I'm just gonna share it. I'm just gonna, like, cringe doesn't exist to me, I'm just like, I'm all out there, no matter how it lands. And so, like, liberating for me, and I love being an example for people that they can do that as well, because I feel like obviously on social media things have become so superficial, and I just want to break down those boundaries and use these platforms as like the pure channeling spaces they are.
Love that I'm literally thinking, this is a pure transmission. This is a, and I love that you just took those words, like verbatim. We are all connected, and having this space, as much as I have feared, like genuinely, I have feared going live, trying to do it myself and being like, I don't know why I'm doing this. and then doing it more intentionally and being like, ooh, this feels like it can be almost, like malleable energy. You're tuning into a certain frequency. I'm so grateful again for whoever is finding this in live or after the fact, because one, Sophia's got infinite magic to share with the collective. I myself have been so inspired, and I continue to tell her, this, I'm speaking about you in third person while you're on camera with me, but you do inspire me, and I've had to tell you that in certain instances or circumstances, it's almost been that triggering of like, I love that I'm being faced. I'm having to confront these bits and pieces of myself, because ego will put me in a chokehold and be like, I know that I will never be fully healed. That's why I was sharing what I was sharing earlier today. But this feeling of like, oh, I've accomplished it, and then I get smacked literally with the lesson of like, and I've had to say, like, that's what I was having happen last night. I'm literally sobbing. I was silently sobbing. That's how I knew inner me. Like, I felt like a Russian nesting doll. Like, my body was crying, but I was so inside of myself and being witnessed by my partner. So I'm like holding on to the wall, trying to half hide my body, because I'm like, why can't I have friends? That's not that was what little me was saying coming through, and I was like, that's not true. Like, you do have friends. What's this feeling that you truly feel? What's this root right now? And that's where I was like, oh, you felt like you never would have friends. Like, I felt like I was having a conversation with myself on a swing set, because that's where I usually meet my inner child, is on the playground. And she's alone, but she likes to be alone. But she also longs to be in that sense of community. And how awkward, like, I don't believe myself to be. I love that Sheikah's right here. She's like, Sophia, reflection of true authenticity. Damn right to her comment. Like, no, what's up? I have this weird sensation happening in my ears. I feel like I can hear higher than where I'm at right now. Not that my ears are ringing. It's like a pressure thing. Where was I going with this, Sophia? I'm saying that you inspire and trigger me. I met myself on the playground. That feeling of wanting to have friendship, waiting 20 plus years. And that's a feeling too of like, I say waiting 20 plus years, that was probably on your like earth side arrival. So the reality of like, I've told you before, that little sister feeling, to me, I feel like I have a spiritual connection with you that I long to have with my own little sister, whether she tunes into this episode or not. Being able to
that with my sister as well. So much just like hits home, and these like the wound on this wound has come up over and over recently. I'm realizing how much it is just one of my deepest core wounds. I also talk about like Chiron in astrology, the wounded healer. My Chiron is in Capricorn, and I've just struggled so much with, yes, the feeling of like being alone and just like wanting like true friendship, family and support, and also just this feeling of not being seen, heard, or understood in my totality. And it has been the greatest gift to have friends like you now in recent years who are triggers for transformation, because those people I want to surround myself by. For so long, I was in connections with people that kept me in my comfort zone or kept me lower. And to be around people who, yeah, maybe they can be triggering at times, but they inspire you to evolve. And then like, it's like each other. And it's something I really value and appreciate. And I know I've been triggered by you as well in our friendship and by other friends too. And that's something we need to get more comfortable with admitting. Like this jealousy and envy and being like, oh, like green-eyed monster. And it's like, we all struggle with these things. It's like,
I'm not trying to say that if, jealousy personified, that green envy monster is my best friend, but I would rather, for real shake hands with jealousy and be like, or ask again to if it's my little self feeling that way, like, why do you feel that way? What is this teaching you right now? Do you want what they have? Like, that's usually this root feeling for me with jealousy and envy is it's not wanting what someone has as in a materialistic thing. It comes down to me not using my creative energy and longing. So, I'm going to sound so Gen Z in saying this. Dead ass serious. I have gotten so angry, like just expressing anger and then being like, I'm going to use this anger and I'm going to create. And then hours pass. I'm taking deep breaths and being like, oh, I'm so satisfied with, what I just created. Alyssa, that's what you needed to do. Sometimes you have to feel your feelings, and instead of, because I am a projector, I don't know if I told you that the other day, but I'm like, oh, I love manifestor energy. Love it. I'm over here like, I love being invited. Don't let me project onto you, please. Like, I need to learn, and that's why I have to hold sacred space for myself. Like, my home is my sacred space. I have an altar that I've now created, but having sacred space in friendships is so important to me. Like, I feel like that's where I'm at, is maybe it's the second year too, the second house perfection year. But in Western astrology, my Taurus moon is like, I will bow out of any connection that is not, I will literally Irish goodbye. Like, if it's not working, it's not working. I don't feel like I genuinely need to have someone tell me anymore, like, goodbye. I don't know. Like, closure for me looks a lot different than it did 5 years ago. I'm so serious in saying, like you were just talking about trigger, we've been talking about trigger and activating, having to confront a quote unquote friend rather than just having them communicate how they were feeling. Like, and that's why I was crying too. Like, why do I always have to be the person that is confronting? Or I used the word initiating, right? Then I had to go review my Eastern astrology and just stare at my Aries stellium, because when I love your Aries energy in the Western astro world. Like, I actually love being initiated by fire energy. And I'm sitting here by this candle and I'm even feeling hot, like hot physically. This feeling that stirs energy. Stirs energy inside people. Sometimes I can't always, maybe you can relate to this. I've tried more to practice being able, just on an intuitive level of gifts, like maybe seeing energy or closing my eyes and feeling energy, or clairaudience, hearing energy. Like, but for me, one of the things too is seeing. Like, there was something, the year of 24 was very interesting, of like getting to know myself. And then that's when I felt like I was reconnecting with 12-year-old me, 13-year-old me, having to look back at that perfection wheel and being like, healing is so cyclical. I know they're doing us dirty by giving us timelines that look like this. Because when they have you thinking linearly, genuinely, until I was thinking in circles, what people probably view as driving myself crazy. That's why I love the spiral, not even metaphor, but that reality that on a piece of paper, it looks again linear. The spiral for me is as much of a whirlpool down as it is a whirlpool up. And it has to be that as above, so below thing, because just like color, not again linearly, but it's dimensional, it's multi-dimensional, it's multifaceted.
That's why I like to use these big terms, is like, it's hard for me to describe my practices, my spirituality to people in life. And that's multi-dimensional, full spectrum, because I'm like, it is everything in one. It is without, above, below. I'm like, and I've found, like, the reason why I call myself a tantrika is because tantra, like, one of my biggest healers and gateways in life to embrace it all. and to love it all and to really soak it up and find pleasure through it, moving through the way, the death and rebirth cycles. Now I get excited for me whenever I'm shedding and decaying, and I'm like, okay, what is being born occurring versus in the past? Like, at one part of my spiritual journey, I think this happens with a lot of people whenever like you first dive into spirituality and it like really fills up your ego and you're like, oh my god, I'm on top of the world, everything is good, I'm indestructible, you know. And then whenever my shadows would come up at that point, I'd be like, no, 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 I just want to be happy all the time, that's what it means to be healed. And yeah, I had to learn how to like erotically flow through, because sexual sensual energy is something I love so much. So being able to infuse that into my healing like really up leveled it. It just I was like,
It's
this is what works. And I started to really actually see the benefits of the healing. It didn't feel like this constant like, okay, shadow work after death, but not like reaping the results. I actually started to like see it in real time.
I I love all of that. That is like, to me, what I hear you saying, which I feel like I hear almost. I've been seeking mentorship, but been aligned with women 20 years my superior. So like my mom's age. These women are in their spiritual work, dare I say, getting turned on by their cycles of life, death, and life. Like, I'm over here being like, yeah, I want that. They're like, You're not me, diminishing or degrading any sort of the maiden era or the maiden archetype, but I have such a reverence and respect for mothers and crone energy, because I'm like, you what now? You're embodying your sensuality and sexuality on a level that, again, is so triggering and so activating that I actually want some. I don't want to go run and hide. That type of energy too. It's very, I don't know if there's another word to describe it, like purge worthy energy. You know that when you come into uh, potent, intimate experiences with healers, aligned healers, that it is going to be a purge-worthy experience. That almost, whether or not, so for me, for example, I've been like, oh yeah, I love all of these great opportunities, universe, source sending me. And I literally can feel like this feeling of like, is she really thinking she ain't gonna have to sacrifice anything? And I'm looking back like, what? Like, last year was all of that. Last year was
the way it comes up so quickly whenever you are playing around with like multi-dimensional lines. It's like the way you're traversing different realities, and not in a way of ascension either, because I know personally for me, my goal is not to ascend to 5D. I have learned to really love the 3D and the human experience. Just like getting really curious about all of these things that are coming up.
same. And I'm also like, holy cow, how have we already talked for 45 minutes? I don't want to time-wise. I'm wanting to be respectful, because I know we're both literally in the entrepreneurship. So how are we looking on time?
So it's almost 2, but I actually moved my photo shoot to 3. So if we could just try and wrap up by like 2:30 maybe, or like any
2:22.
Yeah.
You want to do? Okay, cool. I'm looking down at your responses, and I know we've talked. I'm so grateful that things are flowing almost, again, organically.
Yeah.
I'm looking at question 3. And I know 3 is so special to you. It is so special to me. I'm actually wearing my gold engraved obsidian 333 ring from my psychic auntie. It reminds me of you, reminds me of my family. What does the word survivorship mean to you?
I love that we already got into this conversation a little bit in the car the other day. But I really sat with that, and for me, I have delved into like fantasy a lot throughout my life, because that's been very comforting, like embracing the magic. And through that fantasy, I've acknowledged a lot the hero's journey. And to me, I've always seen on the hero's journey. I did that in a way to sort of bring myself hope and to keep myself going, like at my lowest, darkest points, but to know that all these trials, challenges, tribulations are all in a way moving us into triumph. Like there's always alchemy here to be sourced. I believe in the law of whatever goes up must go down and vice versa. So whenever I think and reflect on my survivorship and also my victimhood, but survivorship really being the alchemized version of that, because I felt so much in my victimhood a lot of my life. But it's like the phoenix rising. It's like life gives you lemons and you milk every last bit out of those lemons life give you. To me, it's really making the most of what you've been handed in life, sourcing it as your own gifts, acknowledging like the specific challenges that you were given in life and how you were meant to utilize them for your highest potential. That was always my thing. I was like, okay, so there are multiple timelines and pathways I can choose from this. I was trauma, and I can let it consume me. I can feel like a victim for the rest of my life. I can project my pain onto other people and let the cycle continue. But that is not something that I wanted to do. I knew deep down, intuitively, I've always had spirit all up in my head, all up in my ears, especially in those moments, being like, yeah, this is a part of your path. You are going through this pain now because you are meant to guide others through it. As raw and real with people as possible to make them feel seen and heard. I think also a lot of us, like, I'm all about destroying hierarchy, and I think all of us are survivors in our own way, especially with what's going on in the world right now. It's like all of us have our specific traumas and pains, no matter if one may seem more grand than the other, you know, it's really just what we make of it. And I dealt with a lot of like bullies and stuff growing up, a lot of people that were just like very mean to me, it felt like. And that really made me want to source as much kindness and love from the trauma and the bullying as I could, so that I could like, I'm like, what, there's like a specific term for it, but it's like, you know, like fighting the meanness with love. Like I think about the song by Taylor Swift. It was one of my favorite songs growing up, called Mean. And she's just going on about how like all you're ever gonna be is mean if you're like doing that. And like I just gotta send, you know, my love outwardly. And I just try, and like I love my shadow side too, but I like being a light for other people, because I think this world could really use some more light right now, and to fill people up, inspire people. I'm looking at my cat sleeping on the table right now.
Yes, times a million to everything you said. I'm like, I feel like I'm moving. I know that sounds so weird to say right here, right now. Like I'm stationary in my chair right now, but when I'm closing my eyes listening to you speak, I literally feel like I'm in some kind of, I don't know, I'm in some kind of rainbow vortex. I'm like, this is awesome. Yes. Yes. I'm like we're not trying to check boxes. It's so beautiful to have things relate. I know we were talking about this on like an intuitive level. What it means to be an intuitive channel. What it means to be connected for... Sheikah said, I lived for that song. Yes. I knew what song you were talking about before you even said it, because, girl, when I saw a blonde, curly-haired country singer, I was all over it. And my dad was like, Alyssa, I got you a new CD. And I was like, Taylor Swift! And then everything else is out the window. But I had like the same thing with Hannah Montana. I was always trying to hide who I am under something, under some kind of persona. So, like we were talking about on a physical level, it's so beautiful to meet someone in the 3D who is a physical mirror spiritual mirror, all of these kinds of mirrors, and have these things. Once you meet one, you meet another. It's like these links that happen. When you meet one, you meet another, and these things just happen again so organically. It's with unwavering trust. Having doubt come through almost means like lean in more. You're on the edge, but lean in more, or jump, because you actually have the parachute on your back, and you already have the straps in your hands, and you've already taken the training. You know, I'm again one for loving and living in metaphors, but I wanna move through by asking you. So I asked you question 3, and I love that you brought up love, because love is expressed differently, I think, by each human. That's why energy, frequency, and vibration is so important. What does love, living on valued energy, mean to you in this moment?
The word integrity came up first for me, but to me, to live on valued energy at first requires you to really get to know yourself on a deep level, to figuring out what your core values are, because I feel like that'll be aligned with whatever your sense of love is and how you're meant to express it. And I feel like the energy of love is so infinite and vast and can be expressed in so many ways, and not just light aspects. Whenever we talk about love, it is within all the emotions, within anger, fine, it's almost always love. But I think then it brings us back to desire and how that's aligned with our core self, the desires that have been there since we incarnated, and like are really just like before. And it can be hard sometimes because we get conditioned very early on, but to really strip away the layers and to like be bare within yourself, like bare bones, you know, and to see what lies within that skeleton. And then the living on it, to actually embrace it, integrate it, embody it in your own reality, to emanate that frequency.
I love everything you're saying.
It does require a lot of focus, intention, effort. It is easy to stray out of alignment or to not be in integrity in how we're showing up. I try to remain as conscious as possible of that whenever I'm sharing myself to the collective, of like, what is my intention here? How do I want to inspire people? What path do I want to leave? Like, what example do I want to show? Yeah, I really, whenever I was answering that question in the questionnaire, I felt like I was overthinking it a lot more. I was getting a little bit more caught up in like, oh, well, how will people perceive my answer, whatever, and I'm happy you asked it here, and I just let go of what I wrote down, but for what it comes through.
Again, I love that you're so honest and real. I'm over here, I'm like, ooh, question 6. I was like, no, I actually want to ask one about love, because she was just talking about it. Yes. I bring that up. I'm so grateful that you answered honestly, because I bring that up intuitively to acknowledge, probably in each episode, as again the thunder rolls in, I'm seeing another storm. Oh, it's such confirmation that people should be aware of what love authentically is. I think we are presented with so many variations of love in society, culturally, and again, systemically, generationally. Finding love within yourself is the hero's journey. It is this it's this alchemical process of removing every layer of yourself until you find your roots. And if your roots feel, dare I use the word, shallow, you have the infinite capability to grow deeper, to go deeper. And that if you grow your roots deeper, that is your ability to go within. I think why I wanted to ask you that is I know that you have something specific to share collectively with how, let me think about specific phrasing. It has to do with intuition, connecting to your intuition, but also if someone feels like, let me think about this. So it's an intuitive question. Like if someone's being tested for their intuition, for example, which I feel like is what happens before you level up, when you're pushing against your growth edges, when you're on the you're on the precipice of greatness every single day, but when these opportunities come through and it's like it is thundering so hard here, that feeling of being like, oh, should I stay, should I go, or this or that, and what would you say about tuning into your intuition specifically? Like, can you think back on like when you were maybe introduced or you felt like, okay, I'm anchoring into my intuition. This is what that looks, sounds, feels like.
Yeah, I feel like whenever I talk about intuition, I get into a lot of like what it's been like to embrace my psychic side, and ever since little I felt that I had very strong sensitivity or intuition. I was so scared of, like, it was like a nightly occurrence, and like throughout my days that I would be seeing things that other people wouldn't be perceiving in my reality, whether that was like shadow beings or just like light forms, different things that I would acknowledge around me that brought me so much fear. And I literally felt like 11 from Stranger Things growing up. I thought that if I shared my intuitive hits and my dreams with people, that I would be like taken away by like the government or experimented on, like sleep studies and things like that. And like even my dreams were such a scary place that I would try and like pull all-nighters to avoid the things I saw in my dream time as a child. Like I always was like an insomniac and stuff. And that really prevailed for a lot of my upbringing until I think I started to get more external validation and confirmation from like influencers, spiritual influencers online who would be talking more about their experiences. And it was one of the first times where I was like, wait, I'm not alone in this. Like, this is something other people were experiencing. And then I got familiarized with the term intuition and what that means for us. And to me, I always talk about the full sensory experience. I think intuition is constantly speaking to and through us through every single outlet it possibly can, and especially whenever we're not being receptive, whatever outlets we will be most receptive to. So whether that's hearing, seeing, daydreaming, night dreams, feeling the visceral feelings within our body, or the signs and symbols in our external reality. Intuition is speaking to us almost every second of the day, and we can choose to be fully intuitively led in every step we take and every word we share, but it is something you have to constantly train and practice. That I have had to do, especially over the course of these years, and I found that the more that you practice and tend to those, all the different variations of, like, you know, you hear like clairsentient, claircognizant, all the more you tend to all of them, the more your psychic abilities enhance and the messages become so much clearer. You can more easily receive them. And this is where I would like to share a personal, raw, and real story that happened more recently. But I did just come out of a long-term relationship. And it's funny because going into this relationship, I was 16, I believe, or 7, already like deep in my spiritual journey and very much connecting with my intuition. And then I got in this relationship, and years went by where my intuition was screaming at me from all angles, saying like, you need to leave. This is not meant for you. Just like all of these things. And that was a time of my life that I really struggled, and I was ignoring my intuition. I was denying it. I was looking for any other source possible to tell me that my intuition was a lie. And that only brought me further from myself. I felt like a shell of myself at times whenever I wasn't embracing that intuitive side. And whenever I finally took the step and heard that call clearly, and I made change for myself, the way that things skyrocketed immediately, and I became so much more of an embodied and in tune individual with my intuition. I was also, during that last year period, we were both reading Women Who Run with the Wolves, which talks so deeply about instinct and intuition. I tell every woman to read it. It's like the woman's Bible. Yes.
Literally every page I read, if Carly's here or sees this, she's probably gonna laugh at me, but Carly gave me this last year for my birthday. Every page I read is coming out of the book after I read it. Not before I read it, after. So I've literally kept, like, I'm having to keep the pages in the book, so when I read it, and if I, like, hold it like this, all the pages come out. I don't know. It's just funny, and I had to tell Wyatt the same thing. I'm like, every page I'm reading is, like, coming out of the book.
That
He was like,
mine too. I had pages fall out of mine. There's pages that I completely lost. That's so strange. But yeah, reading that book, I knew the truth, the intuition. With every chapter that I was reading, it was just getting louder. And I literally finished that book right as I had it felt like God, like, possessed me and gave me all the courage I needed to finally take that step. I thought I would be stuck in that relationship for life, and that I would not be able to listen to my intuition, and that I would continuously deny it and not be a happy individual. And whenever I had that almost like surge of just like power and like, I can do this, and I cut that cord, yeah, it's just like the wild woman within me, she was there and she was ready to.
I witnessed you 24 hours after. I was like, you what now? Because we were in a whole, that's what I mean. We were in a whole new experience together, and I was like, wait, what? And then we danced, like, for real. Hard times require furious dancing. That is literally what we did until 1 a.m. Literally for us to come out, you know, to a physical fire. So it's just these things, having the universe be like, yeah. It also requires surrender and sacrifice. And I don't mean on a biblical level, we're out here sacrificing animals. I mean sacrificing things even on an energetic level. You will know, and I say this on a collective level, you will know, because things will enter and exit without force.
Yes, I took my own power into play. Everything else worked out in my favor. Literally, I thought it was going to be the hardest, the scariest breakup, that it would be like world shattering. It went so smoothly as I followed my intuition and I let things unfold like it was meant to be, and it was always meant to be.
Girl. We're down to the last 5 minutes, so I want to, gosh, there's so many beautiful thoughts we've like examined, zoomed into, expanded, and we've zoomed out. I know that this is probably most likely going to be a series, so having you on here is, again, such an accomplishment, such a milestone for me personally, and I know for you as well. I want to like leave the last couple minutes for you to speak intentionally about your business, like on a level of what you're calling in or connecting with like-minded people, what you're essentially, not to repeat myself again, what you're calling in for your business, Mystic Maiden Magic, or if you're honing into more of the Tantrika side. Would love to
I'll share that, and then I would like to leave a little transmission for the collective, just a message I share. But in terms of my business right now, I'm in my 9th house perfection year of expansion, of risk-taking, of go big or go home. So I have really just felt called to just let my biggest dreams come into fruition and to tend to them, to take those steps here and now. Hosting events just even thinking about 2025 so far and 2024, all the seeds that I have planted of manifestation, like I started Mystic Maiden Magic at 17 and I felt the intuitive call, and I did it. And all the things I've been calling in have just been, it's been a little bit of a slow burn, but I've just been seeing all of them bloom. And one of my biggest intentions was I was so excited to host group spaces. And doing that, I've gotten to, one of my favorite things is leading group meditations. I do it all intuitively. I don't really plan beforehand. I just like to surrender and be a pure channel for whatever wants to come out. And same with healing sessions. So this is a lot of the work that I've done for myself for healing. So now I'm providing it for other people. And I've really been fueling myself and knowing that even though we're still healing, we can absolutely still be teachers and initiators. There's no point you're going to reach where you're going to be like, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm knowledgeable enough for gifts. So I've had to do it even in the messiness, even in the mistakes or like slipping up over my words. But in my full spectrum healing sessions, they just continue to grow into like what I'm meant to be doing, how I'm meant to channel. Right now it looks like me channeling through energy healing, touch, either on skin or above skin, all intuitive movements, hand symbols, channeling through the voice, speaking, singing, chanting, whispering to people. And one of the biggest things that is so important to me in my practice is intimacy. So even whenever I am in a group space, I like to try and diminish the divisions, the hierarchy as much as possible. I want everyone to feel seen and heard. I don't want to feel like savior, like, oh, I'm up on this pedestal. I want all of us to be at the same level. And I want to take time and sit with each person that I can. And if they're open to receive healing sessions, I get so excited to channel that for the individual person, their needs and desires, and how their spirit team, my spirits, are communicating with me on how I'm meant to show up and serve, and following that call, even whenever it might seem like a little bit too like out there. Maybe like the messages that are coming through are a little bit like intense, but it's like I'm do that work. And outside of like events and stuff, I'm feeling called to continue to post online. I would really love to start making more YouTube videos. I want to do more videos talking, be more authentic, less typed up, because I love writing, I love typing, but it's so much easier for us to curate and perform through that lens, I feel. So I would like to expand more, making YouTube videos. I already do have a YouTube channel, Mystic Maiden Magic, where I've been posting some dance videos, guided meditations. I had some
You got some playlists too, right? You share playlists for lunations.
Every new and full moon, I am like Sabbaths and stuff, I create curated playlists for people, because once again, that's like where I learned so much of what I know now. A lot of it was like innate knowledge being unlocked, but a lot of those keys were YouTubers. Literally, like I grew up on YouTube, on social media. I've been doing content creation since I was 10. I found solace, I found home in those people. And so a lot of the people, the YouTubers on those playlists have been like teachers for me for years of my life. And I love sharing. I love uplifting other people who are doing this work, uplifting their platform, saying like, hey, yeah, they initiated this for me. Because like everything that we're channeling, all these gifts that we have, it's in like the cosmic compost somewhere. It's like these like infinite things that we can like anchor down into our reality. And that's why I'm like, I like give credit where it's due, you know. I'm like, all of us are like tuned into this. I'm like tuning into this wavelength of other people and then relaying it. Trying to think. Oh yeah, I've been getting more into leading like yoga flows and stuff. I've been really into sensual yoga flows, so less like focusing on like strict positions. And like guided a yoga flow the other night for the Cancer new moon, and anytime I'm guiding anything, even with meditation, I'm like, do what is best for you and your body. If you need to make noise, if you need to breathe in a certain way, move your body. If you need to stop the meditation at any point, like I want it to be very free and up to play for the individual I'm guiding, because not only do I think that's like a necessity to get the deepest healing in, but I think it allows people to get to know themselves more outside of like what a teacher is leading, being like, okay, so they have this baseline thing and I can kind of make whatever out of it that I want to. And that really is to come through. And yeah, I feel like I could go on, but then I'll touch a little bit more on my artsy creative side and kind of wrap this up before leaving. Oh, it is 2:24. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Transmission, but I am continuing to dabble in all the arts. I have a lot of big visions on where I'd like to take things. This past year, I have started leveling up in my modeling journey, which was such a big dream of mine as a child too. I'm about to go have a photo shoot after this, and I was just today, and my goal is I am not looking to make money off of being like a healer or a teacher or anything. That is not my goal. I want money. Yes, I think we all deserve resources we need, but I would much rather receive that financial support through my artistry, through my modeling and stuff, and my content creation, getting opportunities, brand deals, so that I can have complete freedom to show up in service for community freely, like not having as many financial restrictions. I want in the future for people to know in my area, like if anything is going wrong, if there's anything I need, whether it's like medicinal, spiritual help, that I will be there for them no matter if they have any financial restrictions, that I will have that freedom, that I will have a foundation, other money under my belt. And like whenever I talk about wanting to make money, it's so that I can pour back into other people. I love donating whenever I can. I think we have a lot of corrupt people in power who are the richest people who are misusing their money. So if I can rise into a higher position and use my money for the greater good of all, that is absolutely what I want to do.
Sign me up.
I'll wrap up. At 2%, so we're gonna say this transmission and then it might cut out, but okay.
I'm ready.
So everybody watching or who will watch the live stream afterwards, I want you to know how deserving you are of your desires, how your dreams are worthy of coming true. You are a special soul who is incarnated here for this human experience with your unique set of gifts, experiences, traumas that is sort of like every part is an ingredient in the smoothie of your soul. I always like to say that whenever I'm talking about to really get curious about who you are in this lifetime, who you show up as, the life, the path that you want to lead, the legacy that you want to leave. And I want you to know that you are just as powerful as anyone else you see who might be further on a journey. It is never too late to start anything, to anchor ourselves into the present and to acknowledge all the positive possibilities and potentials, not only for us individually, but on a collective scale, how in our imaginations, dreaming big supports us on a worldly collective level, and knowing that there are other realities possible, that things do not have to be this way. There is a much better way we can do things. This planet can be more in balance and harmony. I absolutely believe that. My hope has been my greatest companion, and I want to fuel all of you with as much hope as I can and faith in yourselves.
Girl, I feel it. I feel the love. I feel your energy. And it's like I wouldn't say it's hard to come by, but again, when you align, I'm so grateful for the people that are here now in this live. I'm so grateful for you allowing me to be your friend, and also being open to this experience, because your friendship is so important to me. I hold you with like a crystal. You are, all my friends are like my little trinkets. I'm such a trinket weirdo. And all of you guys have purpose, not specific purpose, but like I said, you're such a revolutionary energy to be activated by that. I mean, I have no idea where this is going to go. Like, I know that we're going to continue to create, but I have no idea where this message is going to go. I just know. We just know this is going to reach the people that it needs to reach. So if this touches you in any kind of way, hopefully a positive way, please share this message with those that you feel called to. And also, I want to make sure that Sofia's account is connected today, but Mystic Maiden Magic is her Instagram. It's where she runs her astrology healing services, and Tantrika Sofia, correct?
Yeah, the Tantrika Sofia, and the account that I'm on right now is Sofia Soul De'Roma. All my other accounts are linked in my bio, and I think I also have a link in bio thing that can take you to like YouTube channel, other platforms. Yeah.
Perfect. Definitely check out her YouTube channel. I love her poetry. She's got it on her personal page on YouTube, meditations, all that good stuff. So, Sophia, I know this is the first and not the last time that we're going to do this. So thank you so much for having the guts to show up today. Girl, I'm so grateful for you.
All the love into you. You are absolutely in alignment with your soul path right now. I can feel it in what you're creating in this podcast. I see it reaching really big heights, and I think Spirit's going to continue to surprise us. I like a good surprise anyways, but I have some inklings about the trajectory of what's occurring now.
Girl. I'm like, where's our magic wands? Where's our magic wands? I'm over here like, welcome to... Keep me updated on your photo shoot, babe, but thank you for tuning in today, and for everybody that tuned in today as well, who this finds. Blessings abound, so mote it be. Thank you for tuning into the Abracadabra podcast. Love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Talk to you soon.